Terry Healey was his high school homecoming prince. In college, he was the fraternity president, leading a typical college student's life at the University of California at Berkeley. Handsome, athletic, intelligent, and then one day he was faced with an incredible trauma, a rare form of cancer which left him disfigured. Now, most people would have probably been unable to leave their home, but inspired by spiritual growth and motivated to help others, Terry Healey overcame his insecurities, and today he's a professional speaker, businessman, and board member of a national cancer support organization. He's also an author, and his book is entitled At Face Value, My Struggle with the Disfiguring Cancer.
My story is really more about the aftermath of the cancer, the disfigurement, than it is about the cancer itself. Certainly it was a life-threatening cancer. It was dangerous in a lot of ways, but my ordeal, my trauma was really more about getting myself back to who I was and trying to rebuild this face that had been basically destroyed by this cancer.
There was a lot of moments in the book that I thought everyone could relate to. I mean, maybe have gone through similar situations.
Yeah.
Is that what you had in mind when you wrote the book? Or?
I think I did write it with that in mind, to try to provide something that would inspire other people with any kind of crisis that they were dealing with in their lives. Hopefully give them some nuggets and some ideas of things that helped me that might be able to help them.
As I kind of walk through the room, what I'd like you to do is just look at my face, okay? Don't be embarrassed, just look at my face. And what I want you to do is just write down your first reaction, your first thought, the first thing that crosses your mind when you look at my face, nothing else. And be honest with yourselves, because nobody's going to look at this sheet of paper except for you. And I promise you that at the end of this presentation, I'm not going to run around and try to grab them off your laps there and try to figure out what you said or what you said. So my story dates back to about 1980, when I was in high school and I was really living this life on Easy Street because I was getting good grades and I was an athlete. And this is back in the days when our basketball shorts actually fit us on a basketball court. And then I began to feel these tingling sensations in my cheek. Kind of felt like ants crawling through my skin. And I just wanted to rip my cheek out because it itched so bad. So I made an appointment to go back and see my doctor, and at that point he determined that most likely it was a recurrence, scheduled me for another procedure. And at a certain point I began to realize that I could no longer control the outcomes of these surgical procedures that I was having. I could no longer control what might happen when I walked into a room of people like this, or when I walked into a bar or a party. I could not control how someone might react to me. I couldn't control what someone might say to me. I couldn't control if somebody's going to point at me. And worst, I couldn't control how I was going to deal with that. In fact, I couldn't even control what story I might tell somebody about what happened to me because I wasn't comfortable. Then there were a series of events that liberated me. And the first was meeting a girl named Dina. Dina to me was this gorgeous girl with this great attitude who took this immediate interest in me. But after spending this long weekend together, Dina just looked at me. And she said, "Terry, you have a lot of issues that I can't help you with. And you need constant reassurance, and I can't give you that." And so what she taught me really was that the scars on the inside had become far more disfiguring than the scars ever were on the outside. It really wasn't my physical appearance that was the issue. It was really my person that was the issue. And granted, that was a devastating moment, but it was also liberating in the sense that it put everything in perspective for me. And suddenly I began to realize that I didn't need to focus any longer on figuring out who the next wizard surgeon was going to be, who's going to fix my nose, fix my eye, fix my lip, right? Instead, I had to just focus on rebuilding what was inside. But you know, I guess no matter what I did, I couldn't get anybody to check me out. They just kept going right by. So it didn't really matter. Definitely the most significant turning point was being my wife. So I always say probably. Normally I can get away with it, but she's actually here today, so I'll probably hear about this later. But really, we had 2 dates together before the topic of what happened to me even came up in a conversation. So that told me a lot about Sue. She really wasn't concerned about whatever happened to me, but she cared about who I was as a person. And that really was the most significant turning point, because she really did accept me for who I was, and to this day has never asked me to change. In fact, I wake up every morning and I lean over to give her a kiss, and most mornings anyway, and let me tell you, I'm a scary sight in the morning. My hair is sticking straight up, whatever hair I have left. My nose is crooked, my eyes droop, my lips pulled up. Actually, get this. Most mornings, I don't even have my teeth in my mouth because I take them out at night most of the time. And she smiles back at me and kisses me back, most of the time, unless my breast's really bad on top of that. But never once in all these 15 years has she ever looked back at me and said, like some wives might, you know, honey, maybe you ought to get your nose straightened out just a tad or get your eye lifted just a little bit, because I could do any of that if I wanted to. Now, the fact that I'm losing my hair and going bald is a whole nother issue that she's not real happy about, but I don't know what we're going to do about that one.
Speak to medical professionals because I think it's a story they need to hear about how to deal with patients on a level besides medicine and besides science. I talk to students who I think are high school students who are at a point in their life where self-esteem issues are so great, those challenges are so great as they leave high school, they're going to be on life on their own finally. I speak to sales forces, try to help them realize that you can overcome anything, you can accomplish anything, perseverance and all of those types of things. And then I talk to a lot of nonprofits, and that's where I get a lot of the passion from, is being able to talk to other people that are struggling with cancer or anything else for that matter, and be able to instill in them some of the ideas, some of the concepts, my survival kit, things like that help me get through adversity. Visualization and positive imaging can be a really powerful thing. I won't go through stories about how I used it, but I personally leveraged it a great deal. I would basically try to envision myself being healthy, being cured, being healed, right? And every day I would concentrate. How am I going to get there? What do I have to do? What do I look like 2 years from now? And what I like about it is that anybody can employ it, right? All it takes is a little bit of concentration every day and a vision about what you want to achieve, what you want to overcome. And you just got to think about it, concentrate on every day. How am I going to get there? How am I going to be the best at what I do? And every day, what can I do today that's going to help me to get there tomorrow? Now here's to the nurses. I had two of the best nurses that a patient could ask for. And both of them were committed to patient care and comfort. And the one on your left is Carolyn. I barely even knew Carolyn. I mean, literally I met her the night before over a couple of shots of morphine right here. And so after one of those procedures, Carolyn walks in and she's carrying this. And she kind of drops it on the edge of my bed. And I'm kind of pointing down to, so what's that? And Carolyn picks it up. She comes up real close to me and she says, that is a size 26 catheter. That's the biggest one we got, and that is what I'm going to use on you if you don't go to the bathroom pretty quick. Well, guess what? I went to the bathroom really quick. So the point is really that I think you can motivate patients in different ways, and you can employ humor. You don't have to employ fear.
What is your bottom line message that, no matter what, you could persevere, I suppose?
Yeah, it really is. We can all get through anything that's thrown at us, and I often hear people say, I could never go through what you went through. I think people underestimate themselves, and the gift that comes out of it is the beautiful part of it, right? I mean, the fact that now I can give back, and that's being able to inspire other people is something that I could never have asked for as a gift.
This really is how I try to live my life every single day. Take control. To put yourself in the driver's seat. Don't let someone else set the agenda for you. But focus your life on the things you can control, but don't focus it on those things that you can't control. I want you to pull out that sheet of paper that we talked about in the beginning. Now I want you to write a 250-word essay. And it's not that you're judgmental people, but we all make judgments of people when we first meet them. And oftentimes we have a very different perception of somebody if we only talk to them for 5 minutes. It's really a much broader issue for society to think about. It's people that have weight problems. It's people that feel discriminated against based on the color of their skin or their sexual orientation or whatever it might be. But we all have to try to look deeper and look at that internal rather than the external fabric that makes up our human spirit.